So we have come to chapter 7 now. Finished. Okay. So this is Jnana Vignana Yoga, knowledge of the Absolute. So we are almost finished 1/3 of Bhagavad Gita. We have come to the second section. Okay. Before I start, let me pay obeisance to Sri Radharada Govinda. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Nanaka Shalakaya Chakshumitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vittam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakana Vittamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dino Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadesha Tarine Jai Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Let us have a short recap of what we did yesterday. Yesterday was end of Karma Yoga section. There Krishna is talking about Ashtanga Yoga. That is, he gives us all the stages of Ashtanga Yoga practice. Anybody remembers all the 8 stages? Hare Krishna. Yama, Niyama, then Asana, then Prayana, this thing. Then the breathing exercise, then then we go to Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Then in underlining on all these practices, you have to control your mind. Otherwise, it will be your enemy. So he says, Ashtanga Yoga practice, you have to control your mind, for which Arjuna says, this practice is very difficult to do in this thing. And you can easily control the wind, but not the mind, because it's chanchala. Then Krishna says, only through abhyasa, you can control it, and with determination. But it is difficult for people who are not determined, control the mind. So then he's, because the lives are short and might not be successful in this one particular life, then Arjuna asks what happens to such people. Then Krishna tells how their destination would be, even if they are unsuccessful, but their thing will be carried over. They will be born in the pious family or an aristocratic family, or if they are advanced too much, they will be in a very good transcendental family. But end of it, he says Bhakti Yoga is the topmost of you. That is, you are absorbed in me, and concentration of mind on the Supreme Lord is the very dear to me. Finally, he talks about Bhakti Yoga. So, like we started, there's a yoga ladder was talked about, that we go by step, like Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. But if you take to Krishna consciousness straight away, you start meditating on the Supreme Lord. So you will be in the step of the Bhakti Yoga itself. You don't need to go through all that. So being in this world, how to take to Krishna consciousness is what was talked on. Do your prescribed duties and still have a shift your consciousness to the Supreme Lord. So now in this chapter is mostly he's going to talk about the knowledge about Krishna. See, so far he's telling to be absorbed in him and all the time remember him and shift your consciousness to him and work for him and give the results to him. Then if we have to give up the results to him and if we have to all the time be absorbed, we should know more about him, isn't it? How great he is or what is it take. So, and who can tell anything about himself? If I want to know about you, like now Manoj was telling me how he's been partaking in this competition of slokas. Unless he tells, I cannot know, isn't it? Same way, if I have to know about the Lord, only the Lord has to tell about himself. What is the, and that knowledge, what he's talking is about the spiritual knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, okay, about himself. So then he is expanding, he's talking about his energies, about these cosmic manifestations. And then if knowing all that, why people, whether people surrender to him or not, because that's what he says, in chapter 4, that to the extent you surrender to me, I reciprocate to you. So then he's talking about how people who surrenders to him and who doesn't surrender to him. Okay, Mama Eva E Prapadante. Then he talks about demigod worship and impersonalism and how we are deluded and from how we can come out of this delusion and take up to bhakti. So finally, he's talking about the process of bhakti, how we can be in Krishna consciousness. This is what this chapter is all about. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Shakta Manapata Yogam Yunjanmad Ashraya Ashamshayam Samagram Ma Yata Gnanasya Tashrunu. Now hear, O son of Pritha, that is Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. So he says, there's no doubt if you practice this yoga. Yoga, I told you, that is we connect to the Lord. That is what we mean by yoga here. And in full conscious of me with mind attached, you can know me in full free from it. But here he's talking, he's stressing on here, touch. That hearing is very important. I think it's the most strongest senses of all us. For our senses, we have our 5 senses, eyes, nose, tongue, touch, the hands, and ears. Okay, so ears is the most strongest. You may ask me how, why, and see, when you are sleeping, all your senses like eyes is closed, your hand is thing, and your deep sleep. The only thing which is awake is your ear. So when the minute the alarm rings, you get up, isn't it? Or if there's some noise occurs somewhere, then you just wake up. So that's the only thing which is still awake. The sense is still on. Other senses are it's not, it has gone to sleep. So hearing is very strong, the strongest senses, and we need to. So he keeps telling us to hear from authority. Don't hear this knowledge about this from somebody else. Otherwise, mundane people, you'll be only confused. So hearing is very important. Shravanam. So Shravanam is the first thing in the devotional step, service, the first step. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. It goes like that. There are 9 steps. So hear from authority. So he's telling, here now he stresses on Tachshrum. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge about phenomena and nominal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. So what is he talking about? So he's going to give us this knowledge about this material and the spiritual knowledge, by which there shall be nothing remain further to be known. So he is going to give us, and he is declaring. So this is the complete knowledge. Whatever he is now is talking about the science, it is the complete thing. Now he declares it. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatamakti siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Veti tattvata. So what he is telling now is, now when he's telling about the knowledge, then he's going to tell us who knows about it. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So it is difficult to know him completely because he's so inconceivable. It's a supreme personality of God. So it's very difficult for anyone to completely know him. Okay. So he says, though they would have perfected that, they would have been struggling for perfection, but hardly one knows me in truth. Like here, he compares it. This is the gross comparison. Like, so many people will take part in the marathon race, right? But hardly the one who comes to the final, most of them get dropped out on the way itself. Only few will reach to the goal. So here he says, same way, many people have endeavored, but only few can understand me, know in truth. So because our senses are blunt, using our blunt material senses is difficult. Unless we go on to the transcendental plane, it is difficult to understand him. Now he's talking. Bhumi rapo nala vayu kama mano buddhi revacha ahankara itiyam me binna prakriti rashta. Earth, there is Bhumi, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. These altogether, these 8 comprise by separate material energies. So he's talking about there are 2 kinds of energies. This is the material energies, is the Panchabhutas, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind. Then subtle energy is this mind, intelligence, and false ego. So these comprise my separated material energy. So it is also coming from the Lord. That is Prakriti. And it is inferior energy. It's also called as Apara energy. Besides this inferior nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind, which are all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. So apart from this, we have another energy, para energy, that is the spiritual world. And even the living entities, that is, we are the jivas, we are all have the superior energy because we are a part and parcel of it. But what happens is that once we have come down to the material world because we wanted to be here, and we are now conditioned here. So we have come here and we are struggling with this material nature. But actually we are part of the Lord. So we do have this superior energy, but we have forgotten the Lord. Because we have forgotten the Supreme Lord, we think that this material world itself is ours. This is what we are. We are in that illusion. So now he's distinctly telling us there are 2 kinds of energies, material energy and the superior energy, that is a spiritual. And both are coming from him. These are internal and external. So material world functions by this energy. So unless, like, our body, unless the Jivatma is inside, our soul, only then the body will function. Otherwise, once the soul is not there, body will not function. Same way in all the atoms, the Supreme Paramatma is there, only then it functions. Otherwise, it doesn't function, this material world. Okay. So it requires a superior. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Like, if you have a pearl necklace, there is a thread which is going through, or through the beads, right? So it is like you can't see the thread, but the pearls are there. So each pearl is like each universe. It's all there. So he says everything rests on it. That means all these are being controlled by him. So it is him who has created this entire material world and the spiritual world, and everything is resting on him. He is the controller, maintainer, and annihilator of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for that certain that I am both its origin and dissolution. So it is under him. He is the one who is doing everything. So, and he might have appointed administrators and things to look after it, but he is the one supreme original controller who has created everything. Okay, there has to be one supreme person, and that I am, Krishna says, I am both his origin and dissolution. So he is all pervading, everything rests on Krishna. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayo pranava sarva vedeshu sabda ke paurusha nishma. Now, son of Kunti Arjuna, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability. So now Krishna is telling us how we can see him, perceive him in the cosmic world which we are seeing, the world around us, the material nature which we are seeing and where we are living. By looking at the thing and the greatness about it, he is the taste. So when you're drinking the water, we can think about the Lord, is the taste in it. And is the light and the sunlight. So the minute you see the sun and the sunlight, that's the energy which is coming from the Lord. Because of him only we have this sun planet, and we are getting the water and the moonlight and all that. So he says, I am the taste of water. I am the light of the sun. So just thinking about it, by perceiving, we can remember the Lord. We can see him, perceive him through the material world. So I am the sound in ether and ability in man. See, a person will be there. A lot of people who would have done some lot of would have built they'll be well established in industry and all that. So that ability which he has got, we can think that he has got it from the Lord. So he says, I am the ability in the man. So, and the Om Karana, every Vedic mantra starts with the syllable Om, right? He is in that. And then he continues to say, in where all he is. He is in the water, he is in light as a sun, he is Om in mantras, ability in man, then fragrance of the earth, heat in the fire. And that these are all the tattvas, that all the life of all the livings. Then penance as a thing, original seed for all existence, because that's a seed. We can't create a seed, but it is given there. And is the intelligence, prowess, strength, the strong passion, and the sex. So all states of being, be they goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of this material nature, but he is the controller. So, I mean, you can see there are different natures are there. See, even if a family, you have 5 or 6 children, but all the children may not have the same nature. They will be of different characters, different qualities. How does it come? Because of they have different states. So, likewise, all that goodness, passions, he says, is all manifested by my energy. It's the nature. I'm in one sense everything, but I'm independent. I'm not under the modes of this material nature. Deluded by the 3 modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, the whole world does not know me, whom I am above the modes and inexhaustible. Because of the illusion, we are in this condition by this, by the Maya, by in this material world. It's not easy for us to understand that he is above all this and is inexhaustible. People think that he is just like he has come in the world as Krishna, as just like a human being and has taken human form, but he is much above that. Okay, so he is Nirguna. It's not that he doesn't have a form. His form is all transcendental. Krishna is transcendental to all these modes. Okay. Daivi esha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mameva e prapadante mayam etam tarantite. So now he is telling this divine energy of mind consisting of the 3 modes of nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So here he clearly says, very directly he's telling us that this material world, which is the 3 modes of nature, and we are all conditioned, by our own effort, we cannot cross it because it's too difficult. Duratyaya. And only prapadyante means surrender to him. Mama eva e prapadyante. Only who are surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. At least like here, this person knows to swim, but to swim in an ocean by his effort to reach the shore is very difficult. So unless he surrenders, unless he takes the help of Krishna, he cannot cross this ocean of birth and death cycle. We are all the time in this cycle of birth and death. So unless we surrender to him, it's not easy to cross beyond it. So that is the underlining thing. We have to surrender unto him. Otherwise, we will be taking birth after birth after birth, and we'll be coming here all the time. And we'll be in this cycle of problems. We'll never come out of it. So this is the basic thing. I mean, in Bhagavad Gita, he's clearly telling us, unless you surrender to me, we cannot easily cross beyond it. Mayam etam taranti te. So this is if we surrender to him, even in being in this material world, we'll be in the spiritual platform. So because we'll be all the time in the Krishna consciousness. That's why we living entities have got marginal energy. That is, if you are in the material world and you are in this, that means you are in the material nature. But if you are absorbed in the Krishna consciousness, that means you are in the spiritual nature. So you will be with that energy. So it depends upon your choice for us, whether to be in this platform or in the other platform. Then why people don't surrender? That's a question, isn't it? Why it's very difficult. Now Krishna proceeds to tell us, he understands. He knows that people cannot surrender. There are people who don't surrender, and there are people who surrender. Now he's giving us the qualities of the people who don't surrender to him. Namam tushtkritino moda prapadyante naradamaha maya prahad jnana ashuram bhavam asur. So those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So there are 4 kinds of people who do not. So how do we understand? Here we say, no, this is a Muda. So he is like an ass. He works and works and works and think he finds no time for this thinking about the Lord. He only wants to just do his fruitive activities, work and sleep and earn the money and think, and that's all he'll be doing. He's not thinking of anything else. So he is known as a Muda because he is not looking into spiritual life, advancing and nothing. He is only enjoying in the fruitive activities. But there are people who are lowest of mankind. That is, they're civilized and all that, but still they are not taken into spiritual life. But there are people who are very literate, they are educated and all that. But what happens? They think they know everything. So they will take it to atheist. They will think of everything and they feel it is knowing getting into the spiritual life. It is all just it's not under them, and they think they know everything. So that's why they are stolen by illusion. And Naradama is, I said, lowest kind. This is example is the Jaya thing. There, not Jaya thing. There is these 2 miscreants. No, they were actually they were Brahmanas. They knew thing, but they got into bad association. And then Nityananda thing wanted to reform them and the thing. So finally they surrender to him and they get reformed. So that is the story of this. And here Ashura is the other 4th kind is demonic nature. They don't surrender to him because they are having demonic nature. The example is like Ravana, then Hiranyakashipu. They all do tapas, they all have demonic nature. All they want is power. And power, and that too, they will be demonic. They want to lord over the other living entities. They don't want to surrender to the Lord. So these are the 4 kinds of people who don't surrender to the Lord. Okay. And then Chaturvida bhajante mam janaha sukrita arjuna artho jignasu arthati jnani cha bharata sarva. So our best of brothers, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, inquisitive, and who is searching for knowledge of the thing. So the 4 kind of people, when they are in distress, there are people, when they are in distress, they turn towards the Lord. But there are some who want wealth or some material thing. So they also think, and inquisitive. They are trying to know why they are living and what is the goal of their life. And the others is the one who wants to know the knowledge of the Absolute. So these are the 4 kinds of people who surrender to him. So we have some examples here. I think this we know from Mahabharata, that Draupadi, when she was in trouble, no, then she was trying to be disrobed by the Dushasana and thing. So when she was helpless and she knew that no one in this court of the king's court, Bhishma or anything, no one was there to come to her rescue, nor her husbands or anyone, then she turns towards the Lord and Krishna comes to her rescue. So that is when they are in distress. And here is Gajendra. I think he gets caught by the crocodile. And then he gives a beautiful prayer to the Lord when he gets rescued from the crocodile. Then we have this one also. Who is it? Sukadev Goswami. He doesn't want to come out of, he was 16 years in his mother's womb. He didn't want to come out because he knew it was material was a dukhalaya. Then Krishna gives him the assurance that you will be liberated. So only then he will come out. And these are the Parikshit Maharaj. He'll be cursed by a Brahmana boy that he will die within 7 days. Okay, there's a pastime there. So the minute he knows that he has got 7 days to live, then he renounces everything, his kingdom and all that, and he comes to the Ganges river to asking sages what he should do in those 7 days. That's when Sukadev Goswami comes and narrates the Bhagavatam. So the 7 days he was all the time thinking of things. So this is inquisitive, and this is also Naimeshwara sages where they ask. And here we have from Ramayana, where Vali goes to think for wealth. And Dhruva Maharaj also goes to penance because he wants a kingdom much, much bigger than his father or his grandfather. So they are the Artha, Arthati. So these are the 4 kinds of people. Something who surrender to the Lord. Of these, the wise one who is in full knowledge in union with me through pure devotional service is best. For I am very dear to him. So he likes the people who are jnanis, who are all the time in knowledge for him. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavamam prapadyate vasudev sarvamiti samhatma sudurlabha. So now he is describing the qualities of a Mahatma. So the Mahatma is the topmost, who is all the time in devotional service. After many births and deaths, who is actually in knowledge, surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So now he is describing the Mahatma, the one who reaches the topest level, who surrenders unto him, knowing him to be the cause of God. So we saw the 5 kinds of people who don't surrender. Then he talks about the 4 kinds of people who surrender, and amongst them who is the topmost. So that then he's telling, but there are people who get misled. Their surrender is misplaced. Who are they? Those minds who are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Because in Vedas, all the 4 Vedas, there is a Karma Kanda section where they say, if you follow these particular regulations and thing and pray to this demigod, like to the sun god, you'll get health, or if you pray to goddess Saraswati, you'll get education. So when they get so what they do is they go for that type of worship, and because the minute they get the material desires, they think that is the life. They will think that is all the life is all about, and they get stuck there. They don't go beyond that. So they surrender to those devas and devatas. So, but yeah, Krishna knows about it. So he says, I'm in everyone's heart as super soul. So he knows their desire and why they want, and then because they'll get this. So as soon as one desires to worship the demigods, I make his faith study so that he can devote himself to some particular deity. So knowing that, he will make them study so that at least he's worshipping, at least he's surrendering to something, isn't it? Not becoming an atheist. But so he's very merciful in that way, because he always well wishes to all living entities. Endowed with such a faith, he seeks favor of a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But actually, these benefits are bestowed by me alone because they are all are administrators. All the deities are there given certain responsibilities to maintain this universe, right? To look after that. So they even if you worship the devatas, they have to get the sanction from the Lord. Only then they can benedictions they can give you. Okay, that the living entities don't understand. Actually, it is coming from Krishna indirectly. But so he says, men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Why temporary? Because whatever we get, it will be only for this life, right? The minute we take another after dying, then we give up this body and we take up another body. Then again you have to start from beginning, right? So whatever benefits you get here, it will be only for this particular lifetime. And you can't carry it over. Only the pious activities and your credit, whichever you have for your pious or impious, those credit only you carry over to the next body. Your subtle body goes with all your desires, with all your punya and papa karmas, all that. That is what you're taking with you, that mentality, you take it to another body. But whatever benefits, whatever you got here, it won't come with you for the next life. So he says it's limited and also temporary. But those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. So he says, if you then, even by worshipping them, you might be in the mode of goodness and you will get a lot of pious activities and things, and you will be able to go to higher planets. The planets where the demigods are, where Brahma is Lord Brahma is there, where all the sages are there and all that. You can go there, but you cannot go to his supreme planet, which is spiritual world. But in the planets where the demigods are there, you have to come back down to the earth once your credit is over, right? We have said that. So he says, people who don't want to think beyond it, having small intelligence, do this, worshipping the demigods. So he's very clear in his in trying to understanding us and giving us this knowledge. So only by people who worship him will ultimately reach the supreme planet. So we think there are many ways to the reach Lord, but it is not there. There's only way one. That is only to worship the Lord Krishna, only to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only that's the way. Not all the ways don't reach the Lord. So unintelligent men who know me not think that I have assumed this form and personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is changeless and supreme. So people think that he's just like an ordinary person, he has come and personality. So they don't understand that he is much higher nature and is changeless and supreme. So we can only understand by devotional service. So why we can't? Because we can't understand him. To such foolish people, he is covered by eternal creative portion. That is, Yoga Maya is there, which covers it. So such foolish people cannot understand him. They don't know that he is unborn and infallible. Oh Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past and all that is happening in the present, and all things are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So finally he's telling no one knows me only when we surrender and we take the devotional service thing, because we are in this duality of moha, the desire and hate. So we are caught by that. Yesam tva antagatam papam jnanam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajanti mam drita vrita. So only when you have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful reactions are completely eradicated and you are freed from this duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. So only when you engage yourself in devotional service with determination, Drita Vrita, so then they get free from the duality of the world. Then those who know me as a Supreme Lord, as the governing principle of this material manifestation, that's why he cleared. So only, see, if you think that we don't know, we cannot see the Lord, so how we can know? But through the material nature, which is there in front of us, which is created for us, and we are living in this, through that we can understand that he is the governing principle behind it. And he is the as the one underlying all the demigods. He is the one, is the Maheshwara, and is the one sustaining all sacrifices, can with steadfast mind understand and know me even at the time of death. So finally he concludes saying, even at the time of death, you can understand me. So with this, he's explained all his material energies, and so we have to desire liberation from birth, death, and desires. So from this, we learned about the Krishna's, his energies, material energy, superior energy, and how people surrender and people don't surrender. And even they surrender, but they surrender to demigods, like, it's misled. They have gone into astray. And I think, and because of his yoga maya, people cannot, foolish people don't able to understand him. Only by devotional service we can. And we have to cross over this Icha Divesha, desire and thing. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. So he is giving us the process. First, unless he talks about his energy, we cannot know about the thing. Bhakti Yoga, we can think. So what is this Prakriti? Actually, some talk about, we have been evolved by Big Bang Theory, and say we have evolved from animals and things, the stages like Darwin's theory and all that. Actually, Darwin's theory had people in US, there was in the court, and they have now no more teaching that in the schools, because it's just a theory and it has never got any proof in it, and there's no validity and there's no experiment. It was just a one theory put out by Darwin, but it is not there's no proof or no evidence of it. Okay. So, and even Big Bang Theory, there are a lot of confusions, and it just think there are a lot of things. But about our Vedic theory, Vedic cosmos is much different. And these scientists are all coming up only with theories after theories and theories to understand this material world. But in Vedic scriptures, it's very clear how we have a Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the one who's making this universe, and it is under his control and all that. And he clearly talks about his superior energy and his material energy. Unless we surrender to him, we cannot understand him. So, and we can remember him even at the time of death. So this is a reflection. This is, we are living entities. We can either go there or it can be here. It depends upon us. This is a free will we have. So to in these bhakti practices, we have talked about key spiritual practices, association of devotees. Then books and scriptures gives us the clarity, evidence. Then chanting of Hare Krishna mantra will slowly remove your anarthas which are there in slowly we'll be able to understand this science. Otherwise, we are not able to understand. Then deity worship. So, and why we are doing deity worship? You might say the devatas and all that, but the Lord is for us beginners. We can't just think the sun, look at the sunlight and worship and all that. It's very difficult. So we need to have the deities in front of us and begin our bhakti. Okay, devotion. Then engage in work for that, because we need the work for our purification, and slowly we can, by giving the results of the work for the Lord or working in Krishna consciousness, we can do our sadhana. So this is how, so this will help us in our sadhana in the steps of bhakti. Okay, this is what we can reflect upon for today's thing. And another thing is, depends whether we still think this material is a wonderful place to live, or is it a dukkalaya? Is it a prison or thing? Whether we want to get liberated or not to liberated, it's our choice. So we can thing. So here Krishna is very clear. He says you cannot cross over it unless we surrender to him. Okay, that is very clear, and he himself is declaring it. And he also declared that whoever surrenders to him, he will help him. Vancha kalpatur abhyascha kripa sindhu abhevacha patitam nam pavane puyo Vaishnavivo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Let us chant and be happy. And sorry, I went to something else.